All right. Back with another interview with Palantir founder and CEO Alex Karp. This is one that is more recent, I guess from a year ago. All right.
I'm Josh Lipton, and I am here now with Palantir CEO Alex Karp for this exclusive Yahoo Finance interview here at AIPCon. This is the company's customer conference. Alex, thanks for taking the time to chat.
Very happy to be here.
So today there's going to be more than 250 of your customers, and they're going to be here, Alex, talking about AIP. This is your flagship AI platform. Let's start there, Alex. For many viewers who aren't as familiar, what is AIP? How does it work, and how are businesses leveraging it right now?
I think what everybody watching this is familiar with is you have a massive hype cycle around large language models, and then when you try to use them in your enterprise, you find out that it's more like self-flagellation, and it's expensive with no output. And what we learned in the context of warfighting primarily, but also across the 20 years of building software infrastructure, were how do you manage an emergent natural resource called large language models in a way where you actually get value, meaning you can transform your enterprise, you can change the margins, you can turn non-technical people into technical people. On the battlefield, you can do things that would have otherwise cost billions of dollars for millions of dollars, meaning being very precise in how you allocate troops, being precise in how you target people. There's a fundamental fallacy around large language models. People could conflate actual data of an enterprise, which is structured and can be taken apart and understood, with a large language model, which is much more like an emergent property, something that is can be modeled, used, but you need precision. And all the value in the market is going to go to chips and what we call ontology. And we have this ontology, and the ontology will allow you to take a large language model and use it, refine it, and you then impose it on your enterprise, in the logic of your enterprise, in the security model of your enterprise. And what does that mean for the 70 people are here presenting, talking about why they're using it, how they're using it. You gotta remember, we started selling this product just over a year ago. We started with the claim that we knew a lot about the precursors of large language models, and the general approach of just buying models is going to be essentially self-pleasuring for an enterprise at the cost of the enterprise. And no one believed us. And now you see 70 people saying, hey, we're using this for construction. We're using it for hospitals. The people who are not speaking, but we're using it on the battlefield. We're using it to compress margins. We're using it to build enterprises that we're only able to build in Asia, in America. We're making engineers better engineers. We're making people who are not engineers into engineers using our ontology and a large language model. And this works very, very quickly, and it is substantially changing the health and vitality of every business here. And as opposed to the alternative, which is that you buy some large language model, you party with it basically, and the next day you have a hangover. And again, for people just looking at this, what does it mean for Palantir? It means we are sitting on the only thing that actually creates quantifiable transformational value in an enterprise. Yes, it is not understood well because everybody understands the only thing that actually creates quantifiable transformational value in an enterprise. Yes, it is not understood well because everybody understands the problem incorrectly.
Dude, that's so full of shit. It's so hard. Any technology. It's very hard to quantify what the actual value is to an organization. And he's trying to say that LLMs, are plagued by that. Which fair enough. But not our LLMs. All right, let's keep.
Yes, it is going to transform America, and our clients are leading the way. And by the way, it's like to actually show things that are not understood, you have to actually show them. The whole purpose of this conference is, I can tell you how an ontology works. It's actually quite simple. You have the logic of the business, including the security logic of the business, and you have something that is approximate.
Security. Oh, I almost forgot to say a buzzword. The security model too. Yeah.
Estimates new knowledge in a new form called a large language model, and it allows you to take the value of the new form, the raw resource of a large language model, largely powered by chips, and put it into a precise organization in the logic of the business. I can tell you that, or I can show you 70 businesses saying my business is stronger, healthier, and much better than any other business in my sector.
And so what is, bottom line for investors listening, Alex, how would you characterize what is commercial demand like right now for AIP?
This guy's like, Alex, I have no clue what the fuck you just said. How, what money? Talk about money.
The way I would explain it to my most important investors, which are individual investors, there's two parts of the market that are creating value people will pay for: chips and ontology. And you understand the chip side now, and now you're going to understand ontology. And what does that mean for your business?
Yeah, well, the bottom just fell out of the fucking AI chip market a little bit.
It means you can actually use this raw resource.
Because that was overinflated bullshit. That's a,
process it into something that actually works. And if you
because we were using the chips 10 times as we needed 10 times basically as much chip to do the same amount of training compute that you really could do with just one chip. And I don't buy NVIDIA has to have known this. So anyway,
you want to see exactly how, watch the people presenting. You're going to see people in construction using it to build buildings quicker, cheaper, more accurately. You're going to see people in the hospital industry saying, how could I possibly ever distribute my patients ethically?
yes, AI and LLMs, like, it is helping. It's from my experience, I use like, actually I use it at work, and kind of depend on it now. It's just my Google now. It's kind of replaced Google, but yeah, they're very capable. They retrieve information, and they can retrieve and combine information very quickly, very effectively. It just doesn't always know what it's doing, so you need to kind of check its work. It's just, he's got his sales pitch mode hat on right now, but he just, and I pulled this page up. Actually, I want to go through some of these and try and, but he's trying to say that his AI is different from all the other AIs, and it's not. Now, it very well could have. I don't know anything about it. So I'm interested to dive into what Palantir is doing here. Let's click on one of these. Okay, let's see. This one looks fun. Dynamic scheduling framework. Okay, so a calendar is pretty revolutionary. Inventory rebalancing. Inventory is hard. So again, none of this is fine. This is great. And inventory, this is a difficult problem. There's lots of moving pieces, but it's not like, again, this is just the next step forward. AI is here. They didn't invent AI. Yeah, it's just we're in the next kind of stage of software and compute. It is useful. It's not a genie. AI is not a genie that does everything for you, but it can do, like, yeah, it's very helpful. All right. I'm not. This one looks cool. Does this one do 3D modeling? Propels businesses in the future of AI-driven operations, offers a seamless foundation for embedding AI at every level of factory operations, namely a transformative approach to manufacturing operations. Now, where I think AI, again, also, these are complex, parts of industry. These are complex pieces of software. And what the AI is going to do in here is, you got some, say you got like an inventory management system or something, or a calendar. You got instead of having to click through a bunch of billion different menus or use some shitty user interface or type in you can just you can kind of tell the app what to do. And have it kind of search things. Hey, move all of these over to Wednesday. It's like, it helps. It is better software. It's in no way like. I think this is just a front. I don't think Palantir is leading the way in these, like, management softwares for various industries and their AI embedded. I'm sure it's pretty good, but I think their model here more is it's to get the data. They want the data from these industries. If I'm a big warehouse, player in the warehouse industry, I probably want to use, like, there's some industry standard, like warehouse management, inventory software, whatever. That's like a huge world of business and software. And now those companies they already do that the best, and now they're going to put AI into those tools, and then they will continue to be the best tools because they specifically understand that domain. Okay, so Palantir, again, what they do is, well, they collect data, and then they aggregate data, and they're contracted by the government or whoever to spy on you. They don't really write software to help industries like operate. All right, let's get back to, we'll maybe go through this some more later, but
fairly and commercially relevantly. How could I distribute resources across? How can I manage my company as not abstract units but as a portfolio? These things are happening within days.
What I'm interested in, the Alex, is because you could.
He also seems a little bit less. I feel like he was a little more composed in his last interview I looked at.
A lot of CEOs will say, and they'll say on Yahoo Finance,
I feel like he's done a lot of drugs in the last 15 years.
in AI, but actually they're not.
That couldn't be. I have no clue. I don't know. Something about him. I don't know.
All these questions about privacy, security, vendors. But you're saying we're crushing it. We're closing AI.
What I would tell any of them is
how you're doing it.
Well, there's a technical answer, which I gave you the precursor of. But again, do you want to know how we're doing it, or do you want to enjoy it being done?
Both. Really.
Great. Well, first you want to see it works. Yeah. Like the central issue, I think. I mean, we have hundreds and hundreds of CEOs, and by the way, the thing about the 70 people here presenting is, they're presenting to other people. I'm not paying them to present. The reason they're presenting is they're like, wow, I didn't really believe this could work, and now it's working really well. So the most important thing, by the way, for a normal user, someone who's going to pay, is, does it work? Then the second question is, how does it work? Does it scale? What is the commercial model? You really have to establish it works. I would stand by the thing that in this case is, people think of large language models as the value in of itself. What they're going to find is the large language model is much more like a chemistry experiment, the outgrowth of which is something that is useful when refined. And the refinement of that for your enterprise happens in what we call our ontology, which is where we impose the logic of your business on the large language model in the security and intellectual logic of your business. And this is transformative. And what it means for investors and others is, there is value in this market. People, you can identify where the value is very easily. Are people paying for it? Will they pay for it? And there's a Pareto optimality to a lot of this stuff. And that Pareto optimality happens when people say, oh, I'm actually getting value. And that's why people are here.
Let me ask you, I want to broaden the conversation because you kind of suggested this. Just give your take on the moment we're in, because there's some, Alex, you've heard who say, listen, this is a historic moment. Internet, mobile, and now AI. NVIDIA's Jensen Huang said the next industrial revolution has begun. Do you agree with that? You agree with Jensen?
I think you're going to have very divergent. For some people, this is the next generation. And for others who think they're doing very similar things, it's going to fail.
Who defines the winners? Who will be the winners?
Well, come talk to our 70 customers. They think they're winning. And it's like, look, a lot of this goes back to basic ideas of how you build things. Why you got to talk to people who are getting value and ask them, how are you getting value? Why are you getting value? Are you paying more or less for that value than you think you should? And that's exactly what you're going to see today. You're going to see people saying, I'm getting a lot of value. It went much quicker than I thought. I'm outstripping what I thought I could do. I'm much better than the people. It happened efficiently, and I don't think they'll say this, but I'm paying less than I think I should, and that's why I'm very happy about it.
Let me get your take too. When we talk about AI, we got to talk geopolitics. I'm very curious to get your answer to this question. Who is in pole position? US.
I'll tell you who the winners aren't. It's not us, right? So how is everything continually getting more efficient? And it's like, oh wow, the warehouse now, it can fucking run itself. We got the AI, it's driving the forklifts, it's doing the inventory, man. Everything is just so efficient. I mean, go back 20 years, go back 30, 40 years, just to the advent of even having spreadsheets, having shitty little, desktop computers that can do anything, that can just tally up numbers, and then all of that has been just a godsend in terms of improving efficiency, specifically economic efficiency. But all of those gains are just robbed. So it's like, it just blows my mind. The state of technology and everything, like this robot warehouse, it's so advanced. But what is cheaper than it? Is toothbrush and toothpaste cheaper? Is cars cheaper? Yeah, it's just so. This is why I'm just kind of like, fuck technology at this point. It doesn't help. It isn't making anyone's life better. It absolutely could, but it just doesn't. So these technocrat, but then of course they try and say, well, the world is just because no, we need more technology. Yes, there are political issues and blah blah blah, but the technology can. You're right. The efficiency is from socioeconomic problems, but you know what? You know how we can fight those socioeconomic inequalities. We just need more technology and even more of a techno state. It's just runaway bullshit. So, yes, the AI does improve my life because it helps me do my job with less stress that I have to do. So, it's not really it's just helping me be less of a slave. But then but the AI, so yeah, who knows? I don't know.
Or China?
Well, we have a very different problem in the U.S. than any other country in the world. We are in pole position, but we obviously have to move much, much quicker. You see on the battlefield, and again, without mentioning where these things are used, exactly what I'm talking about, large language model plus ontology can be wielded as a very deadly weapon and create enormous efficiencies for especially small armies against large armies. We have to be myopically focused in this culture of we are in a pre-war situation with our adversaries, and we can no longer afford theologies about what.
Bro, we are not on the same side of this war, dude.
Works on the battlefield. We have to go very deep and look at what's happening on battlefields and do a diagnostic of. It's much less critical, but it's the same thing that businesses have to do. What is working? What is not? Not a theological thing of what would I like to believe is working. And what works on the battlefield, where our central advantage is, as the United States of America, the leader of the West and the most important country in the world, is technology, venture-backed companies, and especially software and software-driven weapon systems. And how do you get the software to control the hardware so that we can get out of the business of trying to compete with people who are better at hardware and get into the business of producing something they do not produce as well? Comes down to execution. The problem we have in the West actually is, again, it's Pareto optimality.
So he's trying to kind of bifurcate the hardware and software here and say that the U.S. should focus more on software and intelligence and leave the hardware to the who makes hardware better, presumably not the U.S. Now, the U.S. still makes the best advanced hardware, and we design it all. And so I see this as he wants to further rob the U.S. Why would you even say that? Why can't... We can do both. We can we don't need to let go of hardware manufacturing. We don't need to let go of real resources. We don't need to let go of advanced hardware creation like TSMC and semiconductors. We can develop AI and software to control these systems. We don't need to let go. And to who is going to do it better? Who are you even talking about? China can do some things. What, India, Pakistan, Taiwan, they can't do any of that without us. This is just oh my God.
The products that actually scare our enemies are just not products that employ millions of people. But they still are deadly. There are software-driven hardware systems moving to software-driven autonomous hardware systems. One of the biggest lessons of war, and one of the reasons this is so crazy valuable, is the Russians and all of our adversaries have now learned the value of electronic warfare. By the way, again, these things are exactly isomorphic to commercial. You have enormous new headwinds. Your competition has developed something that renders your product strategy irrelevant. You have to rebuild it with a new playbook. This is exactly what happens on the battlefield. You cannot use a normal missile or normal tank on the battlefield anymore because the electronic warfare allows you to suppress the GPS signal. And that means these things have to be controlled with software to go around, map where the suppression happens, and then in the final mile at some point autonomously. Completely different ways of doing AI, completely different new ways of doing it, all of which are an advantage to America if we implement. Just like in American industry, we have something called a chip industry that is the world's leading in this area, or at least
Whatever he just said about that battlefield example made no sense to me.
The final product. And we have something called software completely different ways of doing signal. And that means these things have to be controlled with software to go around.
It's just it doesn't basically what he's saying is we're saving the world. War's happening. Software is the only thing that can win a war anymore, and so not only do we have the best AI apps that will make your company succeed on its own, We also literally are needed to save someone in World War III. It's not clear who's the enemy. Who are we fighting, and are you saying is? I guess he's the U.S. I don't see. I'm sorry, but in the next World War, I don't really see us. I already said this. Like, we're not on the same side, bro. So this is just such a weird conversation. This dude is nuts.
Have something called a chip industry that is the world's leading in this area, or at least the final product. And we have something called software ontology, which actually makes all of this crazy valuable. Do you
Me over here waiting for a concrete example.
implement it? Do you go talk to people who are doing it, or do you read the PowerPoint written by someone who has no skin in the game? And the answer to that determines whether America and the
West. You
West.
just said that the idea of having children gives you the hives. So I don't know what your skin in the game is.
Which I view as a superior way of living because it's fairer, better, meritocratic, leads to free speech, allows for wealth creation. Does that culture actually dominate and win? And we, by the way, have to get out of the apologizing for our culture thing. It's like we are a better way of living, and we have to be willing to fight for it. On the economic front, with growth, that's why this conference is so important. We need growth. What makes America different?
What a fun statement. I wish he meant it. I wish he could define it. Our way of life is the best. Please expand on who is we and what is our way of life, because I'm pretty sure he's going to define it as Silicon Valley or something.
Than our adversaries right now is not just Western system. We have growth. Where's that growth coming from? Technology. What is that technology? It's compute plus ontology, basically. And that,
Bro, he loves to say ontology.
can change the very structure of our culture.
Which isn't, he's like, it's a technology and then applying it to shit that's important. Yeah.
From manufacturing to weapon systems to how we organize things to our healthcare distribution, can have a completely different way and better way of living.
Let me ask you this. You're talking about AI, and we're talking about the benefits, the advantages, the use cases. I am also interested, Alex, to get your take on when you think about the risks of this technology. Let me put one forward. We have an election coming. How concerned are you, as an American executive, but also just an American citizen, about the very adversaries we're talking about here deploying AI for nefarious purposes, ramping that to sow confusion and division?
Yeah, and there's only one way to fight a deadly adversary.
What is that?
Yeah, with a deadly set of weapons. So like if you want to fight our adversaries, and by the way, my version of fighting is you're so strong, you're so willing to fight, they don't fight you. So it's like I recently have gotten in trouble for saying I'm a peace activist.
Yeah, God damn it.
I am a peace activist. I'm a peace activist because I want enormous growth in America and I want really deadly weapon systems. You want peace in the world? You have a lot of growth in America and you have really deadly weapon systems, and you tell your adversaries, you know what, I just might use them. I'm not even going to explain why I'll use them. You start acting up, I will use them. You don't act up,
Peace through strength.
Peace through strength and a little bit of unpredictability. You know, we are in a world where our adversaries are founders. They have the...
This is all fine and dandy. There is no... Yeah, it's just, in theory, what he says there is 100% true. It's just the problem is that there's no such thing as the United States. We're incapable of forming a national identity, or even basically having any form of an ego, having any sort of self-identity, to then develop this concept of self-preservation. So... Yeah, and and he is Jewish, so he can never be truly, like, he could never see himself as primarily as an American. He would never die for America. Never.
Founder playbook, which is I'm gonna be aggressive and win where I can. We have a playbook written probably at Harvard and Yale and Stanford, institutions which are now symptomatic with not producing structures where they don't see discrimination when it's in front of you, producing structures and ideologies that are literally built for the decline of our country. We need to get out of the business of we're declining, we're apologizing, we're not going to use force. We need to, and the peace activists are actually us. And the people who claim to be peace activists are actually sowing destruction, disorder, discrimination. It's an exact inversion of what they claim to be. But those of us on our side who are pro-growth, pro-America, pro our economy transfers, and pro having the best systems in the world, we need to organize, build things, and then we also need to have exact understanding of what works, what doesn't, and implement it very quickly.
I mentioned the election. I want to stick with that real quickly. Does it matter to Palantir who wins, Biden or Trump? Does that impact any potential business you're going to have with the U.S. government?
Look, we've been in business for 20 years. I have not seen an impact on our business, depending who's president.
I am interested. Listen, we talk about these conflicts around the world right now.
I'll believe that. I'll believe that.
Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Hamas. Has that changed how the DoD thinks about spending, Alex, and what they want to spend on?
The DoD is changing rapidly how it spends.
How so?
Well, there's much more of a focus. You saw that we won this big Maven contract. These things are a natural outgrowth of we need to fight better, we need to fight quicker, we need to fight on the terms where America has superiority. Of course we can move quicker. Of course the DoD wants to move quicker. Our society wants to move quicker. I think unfortunately we are going to end up moving even quicker because our adversaries are likely to continue their nefarious acts.
Which adversary? Russia, China, Iran?
I mean, all three are working together. You know, one of the things I travel around the world, and basically wherever you go, people are like, "Well, I want you to be strong on this one and appease the other." People who believe in appeasement, whether it's Iran, China, Russia, pick your favorite, the one you're sympathetic with, they don't understand. We have adversaries. They are working together. Despite what problems you may have, some people don't like the war in Ukraine. Some people don't like Israel. Some people want an appeasement strategy with China. It doesn't work. They are working together against us, and we have to work together against them.
Last question. You mentioned Maven. I wanted to get the DoD recently disclosing this was a 5-year, $480 million.
Yeah, yes, but I don't. That's not what he is. I don't buy that. That's what he wants or what he's after. There's like, especially him personally, not just because from being a billionaire. Yeah, he's just like this guy's like as globalist technocrat as you can get. He's just all right.
Dollar contract with Palantir. Just walk us through, what is that contract? What is it? What does it mean for your company?
I never know what we're allowed to say about these very sensitive contracts, but I'll tell you what it means for the nation. This country is focused on using AI to have a structural advantage in how we deploy and understand the battlefield, deploy our assets and understand the battlefield. And Palantir plays a crucial role in that arena. We're going to continue to play a crucial role in that arena. And by the way, we're making it possible through our software to allow other software and hardware companies to work off of our platform. So this is not just a win for Palantir, though it is, and I'm very proud of it. This is a win, quite frankly, for the tech ecosystem that powers this nation.
How big is that ecosystem now? Which has grown a lot since we first started talking.
Look, the venture capital world has completely flipped. When we talked the last time, by and large.
All right, who cares? I want to look at some of this a little more real quick. So the scheduling. It's not clear to me, like, did they make these before the AI? How much money do they have? Might have to look into him some. 310 billion. What's their net? What's their here? 5 billion. It's not that big. 4,000 employees. All right. Well,